Hello, everybody. Good evening. It's me, Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut. And guess what? This is like part 2.5 of SpaceX's ZUMA launch. Finally, this is the closest we've got to them being able to launch this top secret satellite for what we assume is the U.S. government. Now, for those of you, first of all, hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? And I wanted to real quick thank you, Orion Riley and Ren something for the tips. Thank you guys very much. But let's give you a real quick rundown on what this is. This is SpaceX launching from Slick 40. So they actually static fired this rocket on the other launch pad 39A. And then they moved it about 4 miles and it did that in November or so. And now we're 2 months later and they're finally ready to give it a go. We're finally ready to see ZUMA launch. This will be a pretty standard. We know very little about this mission, so that's not standard. But as far as the launch profile, it's very standard. And there's actually a lot of remains for them to be able to do. This will be a return to launch site landing. So the Falcon 9 first stage will be landing back at Cape Canaveral Air Force Base. About 4 miles away from the launch pad at LZ1, it's called, Landing Zone 1. And we expect no big surprises there. If they do this, this will be, let's see here, this will be the 17th consecutive landing, the 21st successful landing. This will be the 47th launch of the Falcon 9 vehicle. The first launch of 2018. Yeah, it's pretty exciting, a pretty good mission. We're at T-minus 27 minutes right now from launch. It's going to be a pretty great launch, I hope. So fingers crossed, everybody. Roger, what? Thank you so much to Roger Harrington, everyone. Everyone, just tell Roger Harrington thank you. That is insanely generous of you. I really appreciate that. That's That's very unnecessary and very amazing. Thank you very much. So here we go, guys. So as far as I see that people, I do want to, the real quick, we always have this debate of people are going to ask me, when's Falcon Heavy? And I start telling them all the time now, if you want to know when Falcon Heavy is, the only thing that I can go off of is basically Reddit, Twitter, and of course I have a SpaceX Now app that you can find on iOS and you can find it on the Google Play Store. So if you want to be up to date on Falcon Heavy, on anything SpaceX, SpaceX Now. It's a phenomenal app. I promise you that's how I stay up to date. So if you want to be as up to date as me on this stuff, just do that. It's plain and simple. So the current status, I believe, is hopefully static fire this week, launch by the end of the month. If it launches on January 22nd, I will cry because I am supposed to be working with the company on a cruise ship thing, which is confusing, but holy cow, guys, settle down. Wow. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Okay, there's some interesting things in the super chat. Tip Wars, no. Yes, the Rich Father, thank you. Rest in peace, John Young. You're absolutely right. Yesterday we learned of the passing of astronaut John Young. Take a second. I'm not trying to be self-promoting in this at all, but I really think I did a really quick rundown of why John Young is literally one of my all-time favorite astronauts. He's hilarious. He was hardworking and a great critical thinker. He was a phenomenal astronaut. He flew 6 missions. He flew in 3 different programs. He flew in Gemini, Apollo, Space Shuttle. When I say hilarious, trust me, he's hilarious. I tried to find a few clips real quick, but I got it up there as quickly as I could. Take a second and watch that. Jeez, guys, what are you guys doing? Paulo and Max, thank you guys. And I Newton? Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I Newton says, you rock, lol, keep up the good work. This is because I'm not a Patreon. Thank you. That is insanely generous. Holy smokes. Thank you. Thank you very much. You could have been a patron member for a long time. Speaking of that, guys, we reached over 200 patrons, which means we are going to be giving away this piece of space shuttle. This is a piece of flown space shuttle Discovery. I do have 2 more of those back there on the ground. There. 2 more of those on the ground. that we will be giving away at 300 and 400 patrons. So if you want a chance to win that, we're going to be doing this. We're waiting until the end of the month. We talked about it in Discord that it makes the most sense to wait until the end of the month so everyone's been billed and they all have the like equal chance of the people that were at 200. So we'll announce that hopefully right at the end of the month, and we'll make it happen. So thank you guys. So what questions do you guys have? We are T-minus 23 minutes. Their live stream's probably going to start in about 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and answer some questions for you guys. So Alexander, thank you. Love my content vids. Keep them up. And thank you. No, thank you. I saw somebody, thank you very much. I did see someone ask, what do they mean by full thrust? So we're technically kind of in fuller thrust mode. That means they've been upgrading. So SpaceX has only been using one engine like their entire career. Basically, they had a second upper stage engine called was theirs the Kestrel, but they have the Merlin engine, and they have 9 of those on the first stage of the rockets, and they have one Merlin vacuum engine on the upper stage. And they fire these things more than any other company ever, with like over 5,000 test fires of this actual, these types of engines. So they've been firing them like crazy, and they keep finding ways to tweak more and more and more power out of them. Kind of like a race car engine where a team can sit there and they can tweak more and more out of their their Indy cars or their dragsters. They just keep getting more and more performance out of that same small block Chevy engine or whatever. This is the same type of thing. They're just squeezing more and more and more power. Thank you very much, Kevin Graham. You've been loving my videos. Best thing to be at SpaceX. Well, thank you so much. And Reen is asking about where the curvature is. And Reen, I actually love that you're asking a question. That's definitely the way I'd prefer. And I don't want to waste people's time here. I appreciate the tip very much. But I don't think people here want me to answer a very elementary question. Something that has been proven since the 2,000 years ago. We don't really need to be discussing this. And I don't want to disrespect the fact that you've tipped me. That's very generous. But you don't need to do that. I will be making videos about this stuff. If you want to have a conversation with me, let me know. I will gladly answer all these questions you have. Yeah, it's there. You just have to be high enough. Just like, where's the curvature of this? When it gets really, really, really close, all of a sudden, you zoom in enough. It's all a matter of perspective. So thank you. Love my channel. Jeez, guys. TJ. Thank you. Das. Thank you, guys. Peter. Jeez, guys. Okay. Fernando. Thank you. $5. Is this launch the first Block 5? This will not be a Block 5. So those of you that don't know yet, we don't have any concrete information on when exactly the first Block 5 booster will be. This will be the final iteration, the most reusable booster of the Falcon 9 rocket. Yeah. Michael would like me to say the flat earthers. Also, another Michael, keep up the inspiring work. Thank you very much. So Block 5 is going to be a little bit more upgraded, but the biggest thing is they're going to be taking all those lessons from the past 17 rockets they've landed, and they're putting all those lessons on how to rapidly reuse a Falcon 9 booster. So this means that when the booster lands, they don't have to do a full teardown refurbishment. They can just do a few checks, and the goal is to be able to turn around and fly it within 48 hours. That's amazing. So, wow, geez, I seem pleasant from James. Thank you for your tip. I'm glad that you paid. What? You gave me money to say that I seem pleasant. I appreciate that. That's hilarious. Oh, Alan Peterson. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That means a lot. Jeez, you guys are hilarious. Okay. Does the 2-hour launch window suggest anything about the top secret mission? We can get a little bit out of it. The SpaceX, we now have, I'm going to turn that down a little bit. We now have the SpaceX background music. That means, I'll just keep it down here for you guys. I don't think we need to see the SpaceX logo, or maybe I could pull it up in the upper screen. How about that? Ba-ba-da-da. Sweet. So, what were we talking about? Jeez, guys, where can you get this shirt? I think I found this on eBay. Yeah, I don't remember. any shirt that I find that says anything about space immediately ends up in my closet and on my body at all times. Michael Farrell Tim's going to be at the end of the Forbes list by the end of the video. Well, thank you. That's hilarious. Guys, at this point, I'm going to have to ask you honestly to stop tipping because I want to respond and genuinely thank you for the support. That really means a lot. But I feel like now is a good time to answer questions for you guys. So if you want to tip, let's save it till the end and see if I actually did a good job this time, because we've had technical glitches like crazy in the past couple launches. I think we finally don't have technical glitches. So maybe save tips to see if it happened well to the end, and I'll answer some good questions for you guys. I am the adult version of your childhood, said nerdy somebody. That's hilarious. I feel like I call myself a man-child, so I'm glad that you also feel that way. And also Don and Denny's, T-minus 20 no issues reported, spaceflight now live, awesome. Flat Earth loves me, that's very kind of you. Oh, man, okay, so somebody asked why is there a 2-hour launch window? And so that means it's probably in a launch inclination that doesn't matter so much. It's not trying to rendezvous. It's not trying to hit a very specific GTO launch window. It's not trying to do a polar orbit where it has to go perfectly at this little slot while the Earth rotates underneath it. It means they actually have some wiggle room here. So, could a Falcon 9 launch a payload to a different planet? If so, how much? Yes. A Falcon 9 with a small enough payload would be able to reach beyond Earth, get outside of Earth's sphere of influence. It just has to be a very, very, very small payload. Don't forget, a vehicle as small as a Delta II, which is a lot less powerful than a Falcon 9, has launched, I think, the most vehicles to Mars. And from Vandenberg. Most of those launches have been from Vandenberg, which means they go into a polar orbit. So they're going north to south around the poles, and they do their Mars injection from there. So they don't even get the extra almost 1,000 miles an hour or 800 miles an hour, 1,500 kilometers an hour of extra velocity by launching from Florida when they launch from Vandenberg. So that means even a small, tiny rocket like the Delta II is capable of interplanetary missions. So, so Falcon 9 can absolutely do that. Alexandros, was he going to do this? But he said, geez, guys. Oh, thank you, Alexandros. Big question is, what do I think ZUMA is? I'm guessing it's a demonstration payload for the military. I'm guessing some type of spy satellite, and potentially, if anyone's launching lasers into space, I guarantee they won't be telling anyone, because if the public find out there's lasers in space, they'd freak out and be like, "Oh, we're all gonna burn to death." But it most likely is some kind of defense thing, a nuclear defense satellite. Who knows? We have no idea at this point, and that's kind of fun to me. It's definitely something pretty advanced. So. Yeah, if my 500-pound story, I think was the name, said that ZUMA will be taking out North Korea. I don't think that's the case, because we had a 2-month launch delay. I feel like if it was to be an actual weapon, we wouldn't know about it until it happened. We wouldn't have like press releases from SpaceX. Okay, wow. Sorry, I'm trying to. Could you tether 2 BFRs together to create artificial gravity? That's a great question, because somebody asked me that in a YouTube comment recently on my video about BFR. And they kind of said, why hasn't anyone done artificial gravity yet? And the answer is, I honestly don't know. There was plans to put a kind of a large hamster wheel up on the International Space Station. The biggest problem with artificial gravity in space is that it has to be so far apart. And that's why, like you said, using a tether with 2 BFRs is important. Say you're in a room, like say you're on like a Soyuz, something that's, we'll say 30 meters or 10 meters wide or tall, and you're rotating, you're standing up, you'll get this really bad sickness because your head is rotating at a different speed than your feet by a large, percentage, like almost twice as fast velocity. And your brain senses that and you get really sick. So you actually have to spread it out. And so in order to create anywhere near a meaningful amount of gravity, say half amount of gravity, you have to be like a long ways apart or spinning really fast. And there's a ratio there that you can, obviously figure out. But so the idea of taking 2 spacecrafts and tethering them together and just having them slowly rotate, that could be 10-mile long tether or mile long or whatever is reasonable, and have them slowly rotate. And that can produce enough gravity. And could they do that? I think they absolutely could. Will they? I have no idea. It's a brilliant, simple solution to help fight against, bone density loss and some other things and just sickness in general. Bobby Jones, send us a poster, please. Bridgeway Academy, Columbus, Ohio. Remind me, Bobby, I don't really have posters, but I would love to figure something out there for you guys. And thank you for the support. Shift Fred, you love my channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you. And Preston, your daughters are watching. Hello, Preston's daughters and Preston. Hope you guys enjoy the launch. I think it's going to be a fun one. Okay, guys, so the launch is pulled up. I'm going to be getting quiet when they talk, which will be here in a second. I'm going to pull them up big. I'll do that now. So get ready, guys. We are go for launch. I'm going to shrink myself a little bit more, too.
It is January 7th, 2018 at about 7:46 p.m. local time at the launch site, or almost 1 a.m. Universal Coordinated Time on January 8th. You are looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket as it awaits liftoff from the Space Launch Pad approximately 14 minutes from now. Welcome to today's live webcast of the ZUMA mission from Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. My name is Brian Malstead, and I'm a software engineer here at the headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Now, today's primary mission is ZUMA, a payload built by Northrop Grumman, and per our customer's request, we will conclude coverage of the primary mission just following separation of the payload fairing. However, we will also show secondary mission coverage as we attempt to land and recover another first stage back at Landing Zone 1.
All right, so we had some good questions there. Can I put myself on the left of the screen? I can put myself wherever I want. We can play a fun game called... Oh, yeah, we need to see the countdown timer. Good call. Thank you for the idea there. Tim is... Let's see. So I've got them cranked up as loud as I can get.
Now, today's launch will mark SpaceX's first of the 2018 calendar year. We wrapped up 2017 with 18 total launches. This is the most that SpaceX has ever done in a single calendar year. Now, ZUMA was originally slated to launch from 39A a few miles north, but that pad is currently undergoing preparation for the launch of Falcon Heavy, so we moved ZUMA a few miles south to Slick 40, Space Launch Complex 40. Having these two operational launch sites on the East Coast with enough commonality for swaps like this is very beneficial. Now, it is important to remember that Slick 40 was designed long before the days that Falcon ever first flew. So over the past year, we have not only rebuilt Slick 40, but we have customized it for SpaceX purposes. This includes upgrading it to reinforce its structures, improve ground-side systems, and just in general, make it so that it can replicate the operations that are occurring up north at 39A. Now, together with 39A and 40 and Vandenberg on the West Coast, SpaceX now has 3 operational launch sites across the country. Now, having more launch sites means more opportunity for launching, which in general is beneficial because it increases our chances of higher launch cadence.
Yeah, I also wonder what that yelling was in the background as well. We always get this question, why is the rocket smoking? That's not smoke, it's condensation. The liquid oxygen that's loaded in there is minus hundreds of degrees, and it's liquid. That's how cold it is. It's oxygen is normally gaseous, like as we breathe it in now, but if you freeze it enough, cool it down enough, it turns into a liquid. And then they pump it into the rocket at a almost near a solid state, so they keep going even colder. And as
now,
it warms
ZUMA,
up...
the payload, was mated to Falcon 9, the launch vehicle, some time ago, and all of those pre-launch integrations occurred in the hangar, which is just adjacent to the pad that you see on screen. All of this integration happens while the vehicle is horizontal, and while it's mated to that transporter or erector, or as you might hear us call it, the strongback. And that is done horizontally so that we have ease of access, so that we can work on the vehicle without having to go up very high. Now, once it's ready to roll out, as we call it, the transporter erector lives up to its name and transports the vehicle out to the pad and erects it into the final configuration for launch that you see on your screen right then. Now, once we're vertical, we're over 20 stories tall. Now, the first stage takes up about the first 2/3 closest to the ground, and then the second stage is that top bit with the fairings that encapsulate ZUMA. Now, we stage the rocket for the same reason that we want a better gas mileage vehicle. If you're carrying around less mass, your fuel is going to get you farther. And so because the vehicle, the rocket, is mostly structure, and within that structure is mostly propellant, once you use all that propellant, you don't need to carry around that empty structure anymore. That's exactly what happens. Once Falcon 9's first stage is nearly depleted, it heads back to the launch site after separation, and second stage then has less mass to carry on as it goes to deliver the payload to its final desired orbit.
So real quick then, to answer then back to that oxidizer. So as oxygen warms up from the ambient temperature, this is in Florida, and yes, this is live, ladies and gentlemen. We had some people asking that, and you can know when SpaceX is about to launch live by getting the SpaceX Now app or following SpaceX on Twitter. These things happen pretty often. There's hopefully going to be maybe 5 launches this January, so very often. But as the oxygen goes from liquid into a gas again and expands 1,000 times, and obviously if you have something in a closed container and it expands 1,000 times, if it doesn't vent out, it would rupture the tanks, and that'd be very bad.
One of the most important procedures that we are conducting during this pre-launch phase is the loading of propellants. And we say propellants, we actually mean fuel and oxidizer, 2 critical components that are required for combustion. Now, fuel, as you've heard us say before, for the vehicle is RP1, or rocket propellant 1. That's basically just rocket-grade kerosene. The oxidizer is oxygen itself, and oxygen is typically at a gas phase when it's under standard atmospheric temperature and pressure. Now, we supercool it to the liquid phase so that we have higher density. Higher density means more mass in the same volume, which for us means more oxidizer within the same rocket. So we're loading propellants. We load those fuel first and then oxidizer, first stage first and then second stage second. So that is currently underway. We started about 50 minutes ago, and it's still going on and won't conclude for another few minutes here, but that is going well. 2 other things we like to check before launch are the range and weather. Now, the range is responsible for all sorts of ground infrastructure, from tracking systems to clearing airspace, naval space, and ground space. They have given us the thumbs up, and the range is green for this ZUMA launch. Weather is not under our control, but all of the inclement conditions that Florida sometimes provides are not present right now. We don't have any upper altitude winds, no rain, and no lightning threats. So Florida's weather is green. So vehicle, range, and weather are all good to go for launch today. Now, today is a 2-hour launch window. So should anything arise, we will resort to our backup launch window, which is tomorrow at approximately the same time.
So guys, I'm letting them do the talking. When they're talking, I want to listen to them too. And then I can answer questions afterwards. So I'll stick around for a little bit more after these. Again, this is live. This is in a public place. If you're down in Florida, if you're down at Cocoa Beach right now, look out your window, look north. You can see this happening in person. This is 220 feet tall, which is 75 meters tall, 70 meters tall.
Grumman, the manufacturer,
you can see it from
one of the
15-20 miles away.
Aerospace and defense companies. They've made stuff in market sectors from airplanes to software to satellites to electronics and even some other technical services. Now, some of their best-known products you may have heard of include B2, the Global Hawk, and the very recent and very famous James Webb Space Telescope. Northrop Grumman is over 66,000 employees strong, and they work across the nation with a bunch of mission partners to fly stuff just like today's mission, ZUMA. Now, they've been in the industry for over 50 years, so they have tons of experience, and their space missions include Earth observation, missile warning systems, defense, even protected global communications, and other space science and exploration endeavors. Some of their recent, particularly space missions include Aqua, Aura, a space-based infrared system, other tracking and surveillance systems, Milstar you may have heard of, advanced extra-high frequency communication systems, and the Chandra X-ray Observatory, among many others.
So this is just a stock. We can watch this later. This
We've
is going
all
to be
stared
a
at this.
promo video for Northrop Grumman. I wanted to real quick answer questions from you guys. And number one, Mr. the Frog, thank you for your tip. And I'm going to answer you explaining the physics of the BFR ship re-entry and how they burn off momentum in the atmosphere. Great question. Just like imagine how the space shuttle used to come back in from space. All you have to do is dip it into the atmosphere a little bit, and then it has a big surface area. That's why the space shuttle had delta wings to help glide and land, but it also had a big surface area so that the thin atmosphere will actually start slowing it down. And once it starts slowing down, it just keeps slowing down more and more and more and more. And that's the same way the BFR or the BFS, the big Falcon ship, the upper top part of the BFR, That also has a pretty broad, wide, flat surface area. And as it will be intercepting Mars's atmosphere very, very, very fast at thousands of miles an hour or thousands of kilometers an hour. And as it goes through the atmosphere, even a thin atmosphere like Mars's atmosphere is only 1% that of Earth. So it's a lot thinner, but because you're going so fast, it compresses all that air and it ends up creating friction, which slows it down and bleeds off a lot of its velocity. So you can actually even go from not orbiting Mars, but if you come in fast and you slow down through the atmosphere, that first pass can actually get you into Mars orbit. It's called an aero capture. And that's pretty awesome. So the BFR is capable of that. It'll use techniques like that a lot. Also on Earth in order to land. Ooh, this is a pretty animation. Interesting. Who did Northrop Grumman hire for that? It obviously wasn't Ollie Braun. But that's a nice looking animation. Cool. Too bad they launched it out of 39A. That's funny. They have it at the wrong launch pad. That's funny. So, okay. The time is not clear. Sorry. Let's listen.
The liquid phase, and to do so we need to supercool it. Well, that oxygen becomes very, very, very cold, and the engine is not as cold as the oxygen that will flow through it. So in order to reduce any thermal stress that might be imposed upon the engine, we try to chill the engine ahead of time so that we don't have as much of a thermal gradient. Now you may remember we retract the strong back to around 50 degrees a few minutes before in previous webcasts. We're going to just prime the actuators and then retract it fully at T-0. In these final seconds, we're topping off the liquid oxygen, and then at T-1 minute, the onboard flight computers will take full control of the vehicle and transition it all the way from startup through terminal countdown. So let's listen into that now.
Okay, so they're just in the final countdown. I don't think they're going to be talking anymore, so I'll take these next 2.5 minutes to answer a few more questions for you guys. Yeah, you can tell the difference between the launch pads by there's the giant fixed service structure next to pad 39A. It's a very big, where for the space shuttle, they used to have the rotating service structure, which could load payload into the payload bay of the space shuttle. Also had the crew transport arm, and people would load into the space shuttle from that fixed service structure. Let's see, what else? The final countdown. Will we ever see? Will somebody asked first of all? Will they stream the Falcon Heavy launch? Yes, they almost certainly will. But even if they aren't, it's worth trying to get your butt down to Florida to see it because it will be amazing. I'll be live streaming it if they aren't. So, as long as everything holds on my end, I'll be down there. So
vehicles in self-line.
And again, remember, people, this is live. The countdown you're seeing is live. If you don't believe that, I'll bet you can find someone else standing down in Florida with their phone right now watching this thing live publicly because this is in a public place. You can't walk up to it right now because you'd be dead in a couple seconds. So again, this is an unknown payload. It's top secret.
AFTS is ready for launch.
Actually know what it is.
Falcon 9's in startup.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with you guys.
Stage 2 tanks pressing for flight.
Earth Chan in Discord has a very sad-looking
ZUMA are go for launch.
emoticon there. I might try to.
Seconds.
I'll probably do tests, and I'll probably also do a few other NASA missions this year, like the Mars Insight lander as well.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds, stand by for terminal count.
And right before ignition, you're going to see them spraying water down on the launch pad, and you'll also see this green flash that's called T10. So there's the water, that's water sound suppression.
4,
and I'll talk about that in a second. Green flash, T-Teb, ignition, and liftoff. Look at it shaking that camera from 4 miles away. That's on top of the vehicle assembly building. Shaking the camera. I've been on that during launch. Ooh, that's a good shot. forget how good the camera operators down there at Kennedy Space Center are down in Florida compared to the West Coast operators at Vandenberg. They are a little rustier. They're shakier sometimes. These guys and ladies are very well trained. They do these a lot, so they get a lot more practice.
Power and telemetry nominal.
And you see on your screen we have had successful liftoff of Falcon 9 carrying ZUMA. We have cleared the tower, so we're now coming up on 2 events that is going supersonic and max Q. Now, maximum aerodynamic pressure is when we are at the point of maximum stress on the vehicle. From that point on, we're going through thinner and thinner atmosphere, so stress will continually decrease. And we've just passed max Q, so again, that means that as we ascend higher and higher, the atmosphere is thinner, and we do not need to have as much stress on the vehicle. Now, we're going to go through 4 events here in rapid succession, and those are in order: MECO, stage separation, SES-1, and the boost backburn. Now, MECO stands for main engine cutoff. That's when the first stage stops firing. There follows stage separation, when first and second stage depart from each other. SES-1 is the 3rd event. That stands for second engine start. That's when second stage begins firing. And then the 4th event in that sequence is the boost backburn. That's when first stage begins firing again to start its trajectory back to landing zone 1. Now that sequence will occur at about 15 seconds in duration, starting about 15 seconds from now.
Dave Pop Mall 12 asks, where's the sonic boom? The sonic boom happens right as it passes through transonic region. So right as it breaks the speed of sound, it's really quick. You don't actually get to hear it on the way up, or at least I never have in person. On the way back down, you do hear it because it's traveling towards you. It's pretty high up in the atmosphere when it actually goes transonic. There's main engine cutoff. That was early.
States have confirmed.
They must hardly need... This must be a light payload.
Stage 1 has entered its flight.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Distance. I'll answer that in a second. Great question. Okay, so now they're waiting. So they're purposefully doing this. If you guys are any kind of conspiracy theorists, just watch all the other 47 SpaceX launches. They had to cut this out because this is a top secret payload. So don't think, oh, they cut the link, it's fake. No, it's just that they can't, it's classified. It's a classified mission. There's
now we've had
46 other non-classified
of,
missions
again,
that you can watch if you want to see what
second
normally
engine
happens
start,
during this
and
point.
the boost backburn. Next major milestone is fairing
also
separation. That should occur any second now. We're not going to show video coverage of it, but we will confirm that the fairings have separated, meaning that ZUMA and second stage are the only vehicles continuing on to their final orbit.
So now it's just doing a boost backburn, and that's where the booster...
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
Cancels out its horizontal velocity, and it comes back to aim itself back over land, so it ends up landing only a couple miles away from where it took off from. Hopefully we get a continual shot, though, of the first stage landing from the ground, so we shouldn't have any disconnect there. Although it's hard to track at night. During the day they can track it, but at night they can't track it because they don't have something glowing. That's amazing. Sin Origin says they can see it from their house 340 miles away. That's the thing. If you're in Florida right now, you can see night launches so well because it's dark. And you can see this. Basically, it looks like massive star taking off because it's insanely bright. 9 Merlin engines producing 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Kerosene burns extremely bright. That's what RP-1 rocket fuel is highly refined kerosene. That stuff burns really, really bright. It literally almost hurts your eyes. So again, if you want to see this stuff, guys, just go to Florida. If you don't believe in this, which I don't understand, that's like saying I don't believe airplanes exist. Just go to an airport. Go watch these. They happen live. It's amazing. You feel it. You hear the sonic booms as it re-enters. You get to watch it as it comes down from the edge of space.
So we'll address the fairing deployment here in a second.
Life because you think it's going to land on you.
But for now, we're going to shift our transition back to the focus on the secondary mission, which is the landing and recovery of the first stage. Now, it is nighttime, so we're looking at a black screen, but we should be able to see some burning of the second and third burns here in the landing sequence. Quick sidebar, we did get successful confirmation confirmation that the fairings did deploy. So the primary mission has concluded up to this point successfully, and now ZUMA and second stage are continuing on to their final orbit. So we will focus back to the secondary mission now, which is this 3-burn phase of the landing of the first stage. Now we already saw the boost back burn and got confirmation of that. The 2 remaining burns are the re-entry burn and the landing burn. Now the second is the re-entry burn, and that is solely intended to decelerate the vehicle so that we go through the atmosphere subject to as little stress as possible. As I mentioned earlier, heat and pressure can accumulate. That thermal stress is very severe. As you go through the denser and denser atmosphere, you want to be going as slowly as possible. So we perform a re-entry burn just prior and during re-entry so that we have as little stress as possible on the vehicle. Now that will happen at about T plus 6 minutes and 17 seconds, and that re-entry burn will last for about 15 seconds. So we'll tune into that.
So we're coming up now. We'll see the re-entry burn here. How hot does it get during re-entry? As hot as they
Stage
can.
1 entry burn has started.
There we go, while still surviving. So we're looking down the fuselage. I should bring the model over here that's behind me. Ta-da! I'll get that out later. Maybe they're just so fragile. Ollie's getting me a smaller one that I can easily show. There's the engine cutoff. You can still see the
And
engines
stage 1 entry
glowing.
burn shut down.
That's
And
cool.
as you just heard and saw, we had successful startup and shutdown of the re-entry
cool that 2 of them
burn,
are glowing
the
a little bit
second of
longer.
3 burns in the phase to get back to landing zone 1. Now the third and
That's
final
crazy.
one, as it is self-named, is the landing burn. This
thing
one
is
lasts
still
a
on
little
fire.
bit longer. It's about 17 seconds in duration. It's coming up in about 30 seconds. We
Stage
should
1
get
ATS
pretty
test
good.
stage.
We should get pretty good footage of it coming down from the top of the screen. And again, that's a 17-second burn. So the legs deploy and we touch down on the surface of landing zone 1 here in this attempt.
Boy, it looked like that fire was not
Stage 1 is
extinguishing.
transonic.
So now it's so transonic means going from supersonic to below the speed of sound. So, all right.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
There we go. This is sonic booms.
Landing legs have deployed.
Perfect touchdown.
LZ1 starting
Oh, it is on fire.
Procedure 11.1. RCR1.
It's fine. It's fine. That's amazing. 17 in a row now.
And the Falcon has
17.
landed. Now it was dark, but
row.
we saw some great ocular reflection as the heat and the light from the engine reflected off of landing zone 1, so you could see it as it deployed its legs and touched down. Now with the transition from the successful deployment of the payload fairings and the landing of the secondary mission, that first stage, we'll now conclude our coverage of this ZUMA mission. We'd like to thank our customer Northrop Grumman. We'd like to thank the United States Air Force and the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station Range for all of their support in every single mission. We would additionally like to thank the Federal Aviation Administration for their part in regulating and licensing every single one of these launches. We would also like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in as always. If you are interested in learning more about what we do here, please visit our website, spacex.com. And if you're interested in joining our force, spacex.com/careers. Please look for updates on all of our social media channels. We're going to post updates regarding the upcoming missions. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right, sweet. Perfect success. Again, they're making it look so easy these days, guys. And we've got some great questions to answer. First and foremost, Distanced asked, well, first off, congratulations, SpaceX, for another 17th successful landing in a row, 21 altogether, 47th successful launch. Hopefully, assume we still have the primary payload that they'll probably report on. They'll probably say it was a complete mission success, but they won't tell us where or all that stuff this exactly was going. But we can assume it's in low Earth orbit. Yeah, fantastic. So, that's great. So let's go ahead and answer some questions. First off, Distance, thank you for your donation. And if I had the opportunity, would I fly on the Buran? Buran's amazing, and I actually am working on a video about that here soon. But the thing with Buran, any of those, I'm not a fan of shuttles. I would not have flown on a space shuttle because I don't like the idea of the crew cabin being parallel to the fuel tank. There's no escape system. There's parts of debris like ice and foam that can be raining down onto the vehicle you're in. count me out for that. I want a traditional crew aboard, launch tower. Although the Brienne was beautiful and amazing, but yeah. All right. So also in our chat, Elon Kerman asks LZ2. So there's launch pad 1, LZ1, or landing zone 1. Sorry, is they have an adjacent pad that they are calling LZ2. And that's what I think that's what somebody called it in a recent press event, in a press conference. I don't recall the lady's name, but she did declare it was called LZ2. So, yeah. PC Gamer 697, thank you very much. Yeah, Brienne was Russian space shuttle. It only launched once. Did I talk about that in a recent video or not? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did a live stream about it. That's what it was. And I built it in Kerbal Space Program. The Brienne was the Soviet Union's space shuttle. It didn't have 3 of the big RS-25 main engines on the back of the space shuttle, on the back of their shuttle, but it was actually more powerful than the United States' space shuttle, and it only flew once, uncrewed, so that's amazing. Let's see here. So yeah, if people are asking about Falcon Heavy, is it going to Mars? Is it landing on Mars? Is it whatever? I just did a live stream today reproducing the mission in Kerbal Space Program Overhaul. I explained you see the exact mission play out. We actually did a pretty decent job of simulating how the mission will play out. It'll only be orbiting the sun. Its lowest point, the perihelion, will be in Earth's orbit, and then the highest point will reach out. It's a highly eccentric orbit, and the aphelion, the highest point around the sun, goes out to Mars's orbit. It won't actually be it probably won't even intersect Mars's sphere of influence, so it won't even get that close to Mars for a flyby. So, dang, Sean, thank you. Did you hear them say there was an issue with the fairing deployment, then said it was all okay? I did not hear them say anything about an issue with the fairing deployment. I didn't hear that. I will want to listen to that again. That's interesting. I wonder if anyone else caught that. Mark Boyce, thank you. You guys have been extremely generous. I have no idea. Oh my gosh, and even more generous now. Oh my gosh, Jeff Grant, thank you so much. I really appreciate that tip. Thank you. You don't have to. Guys, let's get some good questions in here. I'll be sticking around for a little bit longer. So. Yeah, they did delay this. I'm seeing the chat room lighting up right now. They did delay the launch initially. Rumors were because of some kind of fairing issue. So the fairing itself was having problems, and they wanted to double, triple, and quadruple check their work to make sure if that fairing doesn't pop off, it's a failed mission. You can't deploy your payload. Also, it actually weighs down the second stage too much, and there's a good chance it won't actually be able to limp into orbit. As a matter of fact, the OCO2, orbiting carbon observatory or something 1 got stuck inside the payload fairing. The payload did not deploy, and it means it ended up burning up on the next pass around. It needs to shed that weight, and also it needs to open those doors so it can deploy the payload, basically. The Fake Canadian, thank you so much. Ferret, thank you so much. I'm glad you appreciate the coverage. Let's see. Is there anything special about LZ2? Not at all. It's actually smaller. The concrete pad is probably the same size, but there's no contingency pad. If you look at LZ1, it's a big, huge. It's a football fieldish size circle, but then there's all this gravel around it. Probably because at first they weren't that confident, and they're landing these things within a meter of their intended pinpoint landing, so they don't need anything more than a 10 by 10 meter at this point of concrete. So LZ2 actually just has a little bit less contingency gravel around it. But no, there's nothing special about it at all. So, okay. Let's see. Maybe Northrop Grumman build the fairing. It had their logo. No, Northrop Grumman does not build. SpaceX builds all their fairings. They have a standard payload fairing. And they build them all. There's a giant carbon fiber machine in their factory at Hawthorne. So they build almost everything in-house. A lot of high percentage, 90-95% of the rockets built in-house, downtown LA almost, in Hawthorne, California. It's only about 4 or 5 miles away from LAX, Los Angeles International Airport. It's amazing. It's jam-packed wall-to-wall with incredible technology, and one of their biggest rooms is their carbon fiber machine that lays these those payload fairings, you can fit a bus inside them, and they lay these giant carbon fiber panels there. They just stick the logo of the customer on there. So Wow, Animate Sky, thank you so much. Plan to watch the April launch of Vandenberg. Any general advice? Honestly, good luck with Vandenberg. That's my only advice. Would be good luck, because Vandenberg is beyond a crapshoot. It's like a house always wins, where it's so foggy out there because of the Pacific turds or something. I have no idea. For whatever reason, it's always super foggy. I've only been to one launch out there, and it looked like this. So my only word of advice is good luck, have fun. No matter what, you'll hear something amazing. It'll be really cool, and it's a fun experience. Just even being around a bunch of people. Here's my word of advice. Find Hans from Wavelength Brew Company down in Vista, California. He's a phenomenal brewer. They always have him and Bill Carton from the SpaceX Facebook group. They always go up to launches at Vandenberg, and they have a big party. So find them. You'll have a good time, I promise. That's my word of advice. Animate Sky. Oh, yeah, there we go. We already answered you. David Parker, thank you so much. You just got here. SpaceX just launched their ZUMA, a ZUMA payload, which is an unknown, undisclosed classified payload. Yeah, it was great. Everything was successful. We don't actually know for sure everything was successful because they couldn't cover the second stage. But first stage landed back at LZ1. Everything seemed to be going fantastic. Hey, Osley, thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm helping make spaceflight coverage fun. I'm enjoying being able to answer people's questions, because it can be frustrating when you're trying to get into something like this, and the barrier of entry can be very intimidating and kind of hard to figure out, like, what is this? So, reminder to everyone, if you don't know what we're talking about with a lot of this stuff, I have 2 Beginner's Guide to SpaceX's. Really do watch those. I promise. Send it to your friends. I start at the very beginning, what you will watch during a live stream. I'll talk about the smoke pouring off the rocket. I talk about all the things you hear on the radio. I talk about where they launch from. I talk about what specific vehicles they launch. I talk about where they land. I talk about a lot of that stuff. So I have, I think, 2 more to make on that series. But watch that. If you are new to this and you have a lot of questions, watch those after this. I promise it'll be worth it. Where did I get my awesome space shuttle model? That's a great question. I don't remember which space shuttle. I don't think you can see a space shuttle model here. Unless you're talking about there's a Saturn V, that's a Lego one, and then I have Ollie Braun, probably link in the description. He makes these incredible Falcon 9 models, yeah. Okay, geez, guys, sorry. Ethan, thank you for the donation, and what would I put on the BFO cargo missions? Or are you talking about the initial, if you're talking about the initial, demo mission for BFR, it has such a big payload mass, you can do something awesome. Someone today, I think in my live chat, said they want to see a Tesla Semi, since they did a Tesla Roadster, or going to be doing a Tesla Roadster on the initial Falcon Heavy launch. For the BFR, they should probably do a Tesla Semi just to really drill in how powerful that thing is. But even that could be launched on a Falcon Heavy, guys. Don't forget, a Falcon Heavy can launch a 737 fully loaded with passengers and fuel and cargo. So I think it would have no problem launching a Tesla Semi. So we might need to think bigger even for BFR. And Werner, thank you so much for the tip. That means a lot. Last of a Visa card. Thank you, the fake Canadian. I appreciate that. Put a Falcon 1 on it. That I like, because they used the first Tesla Roadster, the first Tesla car, and the Falcon 1 was SpaceX's first rocket. So that'd be kind of cool, paying homage to themselves. And yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Putting a Falcon 1 inside the BFR. That's my favorite idea so far. Velocity, just wondering where you got that Lego set behind you. I ended up buying it directly from Lego. You can get them now. I think they're in stock at most stores, like Lego.com, probably even Amazon, probably Target stores and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty good deal. I think it's only like $120. I say only. The reason I say is because it's 1,969 pieces. The number of the year that we went to the moon, which is amazing that they did that. So price per brick, it's actually inexpensive. And one of the reasons is you don't have to license NASA stuff. NASA is not a brand. It's public domain. The term NASA and everything that NASA does is public domain. That's why you can watch all their footage. You can rebroadcast their footage license free, because it's public domain. It's funded by taxpayers' dollars. That's probably why the Lego set is actually cheaper than some of the other Lego sets. You're going to fly down for Falcon Heavy. What is my advice on where to go and to watch it? My advice would be leave insanely early. The last SpaceX launch I went to live was CRS-12. And even that, a pretty standard Falcon 9 CRS mission, traffic was backed up for 5 or 10 miles, like dead stopped. It took an hour to get what should have taken 5 minutes. So plan plenty early. Just bring lots of sunscreen. Bring everything you need for a whole day's event. Even though you're only going to be seeing the rocket launch for about 8 minutes between launch and landing. Plan on the whole day and bring lots of batteries for your phones, for charging stuff. Bring lots of sunscreen, water, food. Just bring it all. You're not going to want to go anywhere once you get parked and once you get all situated. That's my word of advice. A good place to watch from. Jetty Park's great. I to be perfectly honest, I've actually never watched a launch from any of the public places because I'm normally shooting with the press, so we're at the press site. But Jetty Parkway is supposed to be great. Exploration Tower, if it's open, offers a really good view that's higher up. There's a couple. Ben Cooper does a really good where to watch launches from blog. So just type in where to see rocket launches Florida, and I think you'll find Ben Cooper's blog. It's really, really good. So let's see. At this point, honestly, the chat has been very busy. So let's see. Do a 110 model of a Tesla Roadster. So a 10 times bigger Tesla Roadster for the initial BFR. That's hilarious. Or 10 Tesla Roadsters. That would be hilarious. Thank you, Nicodemus. That's awesome. I appreciate the tip. You have a question. Don't they need to repair the heat shield of the BFR every flight, just like the space shuttle? Potentially. That's the big concern. The space shuttle, one of the biggest concerns with the space shuttle is that it had, I don't remember the number now, thousands. For sure, thousands. Gosh, I'm trying to remember if it was like 2,500 or if it was 25,000 tiles that were all individual, all unique, all very fragile, could literally chip it with your fingernail, that all had to be inspected almost under a microscope. Like, we're talking like literally sit there and examine every millimeter of it, basically. That's how fragile the space shuttle was and all those individual tiles. They learned lessons of we can't do that again. So SpaceX, I think, will be using a newer, more advanced ablative material. And it sounds like larger panels that they can swap out if they need to. The idea is you don't want to have to refurbish this thing anywhere near like the space shuttle. The space shuttle had hundreds of thousands of man hours, human hours, after each launch. And that's why it ended up costing so much, is because it was just too much refurbishment costs. And they're trying to learn from those lessons. So Pika 3, I believe, Kung Fu Fat Bear says in our Discord. They should put a Blue Origin New Shepard on BFR, says Patrick Steffen. And thank you for the tip. That's hilarious. Does SpaceX have a go, no-go procedure like Delta 4? Philip, thank you for the tip. And so just so you know, they do. They have kind of a go, no-go poll with the launch director. I think T-minus 1 hour. I talk about that in my Beginner's Guide number 2. I talk about that. I don't remember exactly where it is in the count, but they do have a final poll from all the stations. But they also, somebody asked me one time why they don't have holds like ULA does. ULA has these built-in holds, and I don't honestly exactly know the exact reason for that. Maybe a lot of it might be because SpaceX's launch is so automated and so streamlined that maybe that's just something they figured a computer. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I'll try to figure that out though. All right. They should launch a model Kerbal into space. That'd be hilarious. Do we know when Block 5 will launch? I kind of mentioned this briefly earlier. We don't have a solid date. I'm hearing it'll probably be like Q1 or Q2. Most likely just like right away at the beginning of like, say, early April is my best estimate. And hopefully we get like a teaser before then. It would be great if we saw a picture of it static fire. I would love to see what visible things we can see that are different. It might not be all the way up until launch, though, until the media actually gets a chance to see it out there on the launch pad. And just so people know, again, Block 5 is the final evolution of the Falcon 9 vehicle. They continually kind of tweak things along, and this is them taking all the lessons they've learned about landing, recoverability, and hopefully streamlining reusability so that the Falcon 9 can be reused over and over and over and over. This is different than currently. The Block 3, Block 4 that they've been landing can only really land once. I mean, it can land a lot of times and it can probably be reused a lot of times, but the refurbishment costs isn't worth them totally trying to reuse it multiple times. And that's what Block 5 is meant for, is to have a very solid plan of reusability. So thank you, Paulo. Worth going to KSC and buy a ticket to see the launch, or somewhere close and watch for free? If you haven't been to Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex, I would say if you can't get out to you can go out to the Saturn V building and watch. That is a great place to watch, especially a 39A launch. You will have actually one of the best views, period, believe it or not, from there. I think you're only about 5 miles away from 39A. If you can get to that, yes, do it. But if you're back at the visitors center, you're kind of just up on bleachers looking at trees, and you don't actually see the vehicle until it's cleared the trees. So if you want a direct line of sight, the down at Port Canaveral might be a better line of sight. That's hard to get to. Jetty Park is good for landing. Port Canaveral, right outside of the entrance of the Air Force Base, is a good place to watch a launch from, though. What do I think the chances... Oh, thank you so much, Carlos. That means a lot. Thank you. What do I think the chances we'll see is SpaceX recovering their second stages before the first BFR rolls out from Eve? Almost none. We might see them just playing around with, super, second stage retro propulsion through reentry, but legitimate landing attempts of a second stage, I don't think will happen on the Falcon vehicle at all. It would take a massive, massive redesign, and it takes a massive payload penalty when you try to put a vehicle up, or make the second stage recoverable. So that being said, I don't think we'll see them ever actually even attempt to try to land the second stage of the Falcon vehicle. As far as, like I said, they'll probably be doing research with it, but I don't think we're ever going to see the landing legs and grid fins on the second stage. If we do, I'd be very, very surprised. You're going to Kennedy Space Center for the first time. What do you recommend you do when you first get there, or when you get there? Make sure you plan a full day. It honestly takes a full day to go through all the exhibits, and make sure you get out on that bus. If you are from out of the country and this is your only chance to really go to Kennedy Space Center, it's worth paying for like the behind the scenes tour where you get to go. I think you get to go see like the Apollo 1 site and a few other cool places. You just get to spend more time on the bus. I would do that if it's like a once in a lifetime chance. It'll be a little bit more expensive, but it is amazing. I assume, actually I've never done that tour, but I assume it's well worth it. I've been out to the Apollo 1 site. We got to set up cameras there for Orion EFT-1 mission. But hopefully, yeah, I would say do it all. Spend all day there. So would you do a meetup at a launch in Florida? Christopher Campbell. Yes, I actually do. So I'll be doing a Patreon meetup for Falcon Heavy as long as I can get down there, guys. I only have 2 things in my calendar in the next month. And as long as it's not one of those 2 things, I will be at Falcon Heavy. I am planning on it. I might even have to reschedule things to be at Falcon Heavy. I will be doing a Patreon meetup. Yeah, so come say hi. Yeah, and I might do a quick public meetup as well, too. So just pay attention to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And, of course, Instagram is actually still one of my most popular platforms, but I don't hardly use it anymore because I don't know. I don't have time to do the photography stuff as much anymore. So, yeah, find me, Everyday Astronaut. I think you know where that is. Let's see. Whatever ZUMA was, it wasn't heavy because Mika was very early, says Alley Cat in our Discord channel. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yes, I understand that a lot of people are having to leave because it is late for you. A lot of you are probably in Europe or some other part of the world where it is now bedtime. So good night to all of you that have to get going. I'll be sticking around here. I'll probably spend about 5 more minutes answering questions. But then I want you guys, make sure you're, again, subscribed so you know when I go live. I'll be doing a few more live streams. I decided I'm going to try to see what it takes to actually land a Tesla on Mars on a Falcon Heavy. And so far in my attempts, I've been refueling an upper stage with landing legs and all this funny stuff. It's hilarious. It's very hard. It takes multiple refueling trips, probably 5 to get it out there. It's not a very good way to do it. So it's fun, though. I'll probably be live streaming that at some point this week. So let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with you guys here. Thank you, Vladimir. I appreciate the tip. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you think I was doing good work. That means a lot. Thank you. Let's see. Man. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up here. Neuropilot says, try to get Simone to come to the launch as a +1. Simone lives in San Francisco. That's why I'm going out there to her studio. If you guys know who Simone Yertz or Gertz or however she says her name, she's the queen of crappy robots. I'll be doing a live stream with her. She has this cool robot that she's working with, like a really expensive, fancy robot, and she's doing these live streams with people. So I'll be doing that in beginning of February. That might get moved to middle of February, but I'm nervous. I guarantee if I move it to middle February, that's when Falcon Heavy will launch. So, did they launch? They sure did. Northern Surfer Boy. Yep, you just missed the launch, and it was successful. You can watch the replay here in a second. Holy buckets! Jeez! Thank you so much, DG Ruby. That's insanely generous. You didn't have to do that. Let me try to answer your question. Would it be cool if 40 Merlin vacuum engines were in LEO for future recovery instead of at the bottom of the ocean or disintegrated? Again, thank you. Sincerely, thank you. You don't have to do that. That's insanely nice, though. I really, really appreciate the tip. Thank you. So, yes, in a sense, but the problem is you don't actually need that much. So that's kind of what you're talking about is similar to reusing the upper stages, like how ULA, United Launch Alliance, they have upper stages that are going to be launching in probably 5 or 6 years on their next generation vehicle, the Vulcan, and it's called ACES, Advanced Cryogenic something second stage. Advanced Cryogenic something stage. Someone will know. But they... the thing with that is they had to keep the propellant. They basically are wanting to reuse and swap propellants out. Engines on their own, especially the Merlin vacuum engine, they're terribly overpowered, actually, and huge. And they're not very efficient. So compared to some other engines, it would probably be more, the fuel up there is more valuable than an engine. That's my personal opinion, especially 40 of them, unless you're having to push something really heavy. But the thing is, with once you're in orbit, you can have a very small, efficient engine, and you can do multiple. You can elongate your orbit until you eventually, take passes. It might take 20 days to break out of the sphere of influence of Earth. But in general, you don't need a big, giant, powerful rocket engine. So, gosh, I still can't believe you tipped me that much. Thank you again. Sorry. That is insanely nice of you. Thank you. Thank you, Brian Joyce. I'm glad that you appreciate my absolute obsession in life. Just so you guys have a perspective too, if you want to know what it takes to get as dorky and nerdy and obsessed with this stuff as me, when I went to my first SpaceX launch 3 years ago, I didn't know what a solid rocket booster was. I was your casual observer of space, a little bit more than casual observer of space, but I'd probably only ever watched like 2 space launches on YouTube. I watched the last space shuttle mission. I think I tuned in for one other mission, maybe his launch of Curiosity or something. But before 2014 and 13, I wasn't that involved at all. And this obsession has only happened within the past 3 or 4 years. So if you want to know how long it takes to kind of beef up your chops, if all this stuff sounds insanely overwhelming and you're sitting there going, I don't know what any of this means. Well, in only a couple years, there's so many great resources out there for this stuff, and it's happening all the time. So it's fun, and it's happening more often. Don't forget, SpaceX launched 18 times in 2017, up from the 9 in 2016, up from the 5 before that. So pretty good ramp here of how often they're launching. They're hoping to launch 30 times this year. So it's something to be very excited about. It's something that we can be very active observers of and active participants. So it's a lot of fun. Don't be intimidated. There's a lot of great resources. Again, I'm trying to produce videos. If you have a question, please watch my videos and watch to the end of the video and then ask a question if you still have an additional question. And I tend to try to find those in YouTube and try to answer people directly. But I love, there's almost always someone like, you forgot this, and then literally there's a whole 4-minute segment about what they're talking about. So it's like, please finish the video before you ask a question. But watch some of my videos. I try really hard to lay out a lot of the stuff that I found so fascinating and that I have had a lot of fun learning about. So David Plant, 1:33 a.m. in the UK. You're welcome for the stream. Been a small patron for a while. Thank you so much. Just so I know as well, Ollie is now selling his models online. And again, that's Ollie Braun who does these incredible models here. I believe they're available. I think he has Buzz spacemodels.com. Can a mod link? Maybe Allie will know, and she'll link in here. Allie, go ahead and spam the chat for a bit with Ollie's website, so if people want to know about Ollie's work and how they can find his incredible rocket models, that is what's up. So, yeah, the stream is already up, Sean says, on SpaceX, so if you want to go rewatch that now, you feel free to do so if you missed the launch. Again, it was live. It was live, yeah, in real life, so... well, thank you so much, Dan Robinson. I appreciate that. I really do. What is my most anticipated launch of 2018? Falcon Heavy, closely followed by Mars, the Mars Insight rover. I think that'll be... Wait, is it Insight? Someone remind me. Oh gosh, I'm blanking right now. I'm pretty sure it's Insight. But it's a lander. It's not a rover. I just like any mission, any NASA JPL mission that goes to Mars. It gets me very, very excited. Those are big, fun, exciting missions. So, yeah, I am very, very excited. 2018, and Block 5. Okay, let me list real quick a couple of things that are exciting for 2018. Falcon Heavy, Block 5 of the Falcon 9. We're going to see, again, the Mars mission. Yeah, Mars Insight. We are going to see Crew Dragon 2 capsule. We're going to see Dragon 2 launch in-flight abort. We're going to see more landings and launches than ever. I don't think we're going to be seeing people take off from the United States in 2018. Some people are saying 2019. NASA, in a recent announcement, actually still said 2018. It'll be somewhere, but with spaceflight, you almost always have to assume things are going to be pushed to the right and delayed a little bit. So... yeah, buzzspacemodels.com. There we go. There we go. That is that's what's his name's Ollie's web store. So there you go, John Eric. You made it home. How was the launch? John Eric in our Discord channel he lives in Florida, so he got to go and watch it. I'm very jealous, but I'll be down there soon. So let's see. So someone asked, why do you think they launched north? They probably... I think it was at a 50-degree inclination. Depending on what exactly that satellite's doing, or maybe who it's spying on, that determines a lot about those orbital mechanics. So if they were to launch it like equatorial, you're going to be looking at a lot of, the Congo and the tip of South America, So they definitely take into account whatever it's doing. It needs to be in that inclination for whatever. And I don't know. I have no idea. So, yes, we have a Patreon-only Discord channel. If you guys want to join our Discord channel, we also work on the scripts for my videos in there. Patreon.com/everydayastronaut. You can become a Discord member, and you can have direct access during chats. And you can, it'll be, it's a lot of fun. We're busy scripting already on some other things. I'm working on a lot of exciting things in the background for this upcoming video. I have a list this long of videos we need to be making, so it'll be a very exciting time. So get ready, guys. Lunchtime here in Sydney, awesome. Tip: get on the 39A tour at Kennedy Space Center if still running at the moment for a view of Falcon Heavy from outside the fence. Good call there. Thank you so much for your tip as well. Happy lunch in Sydney. I hear it's really hot there. Good luck. Stay cool. Thank you, Simon. I spark your curiosity. Greetings from Denmark. I love Denmark. Hello from the United States, dear friend. Andrew, also, Patreon won't charge you until February. Here's something for January. Thank you so much. Hopefully you'll be in Florida for the Falcon Heavy launch meetup. Like I said, I'll be posting that in Patreon and on our Discord channel. So absolutely. So thank you, guys. Let's see here. Can you say that the website takes a few seconds to load for Ollie's website? I think Ollie's website is probably being hammered right now. So if you are looking to go to buzzspacemodels.com, it might take a second, so just be patient. So, will SpaceX land on the moon? SpaceX could land on the moon, depending on if they have... Actually, they're going to be launching... so, really, any rocket can send something to the moon. It doesn't take a special thing per se. It just has to be a small enough payload. So, for instance, SpaceX is already going to be sending stuff to the moon for the Google Lunar X Prize. They have, I think, a team or two that's using SpaceX as a secondary payload to get them into a translunar injection, get them out towards Mars, and then those small payloads have to get themselves into, or not Mars, sorry, get to the moon, get themselves into a lunar orbit, and then land and navigate onto the moon. So, yeah, absolutely, SpaceX can go to the moon. They don't currently have a lander that can land on the moon, though, so they would have to develop a second thing to actually land on the moon. Yeah, James Webb Telescope will be 2019. Yeah. Would you be obsessed with the same stuff if you lived in 1969? I think it would have been a lot. I think I would have been a lot more obsessed. That's a great question, Lise Roy. I think that's a really great question. I think I probably would have been even more enamored. The only thing is the access to information. The fact that I can sit here and watch a documentary, follow it up with questions, and literally research and figure out more about it immediately afterwards is one of the reasons I've been able to so quickly develop an absolute obsession for spaceflight. It's so easy. The resources are so readily available. It's insane. So I don't know. I think that era was still by far the most exciting era of spaceflight. I mean, way by far. Not even what we're doing now is exciting, and I'm happy that we're starting to get close to wanting to relive those Apollo days, but nothing compares to the 1960s, early 1970s spaceflight. I don't know what it would have taken, though, if I would have had the same spark. Yeah. So, am I hyped for James Webb? Yeah, I got to see James Webb last April at Goddard Flight Center in Maryland. I got to take a picture I missed it. It was literally vertical. I walked in as it was like clicking into this last place down. But I got to see it in person. It was folded up. It's huge. It's really exciting. It's been being worked on for a long time, guys. This is going to be 10 times more resolution, more powerful than the Hubble Space Telescope. And in combination, occasionally, if they need to observe the same thing, James Webb will be in a different spectrum. But to be able to combine that data between the two telescopes will be incredible. I think that's going to open up a lot of new observations for us. So, let's see. Somebody asked if the SLS, somebody said the SLS could theoretically land its first stage. The problem is they would need almost a 5-engine cluster to even consider it a remote possibility, because it's really hard. That's the reason that SpaceX has 9 engines clustered on their first stage, not only for engine out capabilities, but also if they were to lose, even that one engine throttled all the way down at 40%, and the Merlin engine throttles a lot. 40% is a deep throttle. Even at that 40%, it's still too powerful to hover and do anything but a hover slam or a suicide burn, which means it has to bleed off its velocity and hit 0, miles an hour, kilometers an hour, right when it touches the ground. Otherwise, it's going to go right back up. And SLS has only 4 RS-25 main engines. And to have 4, you'd have to be burning 2 at a time to be symmetrical. So having 2 really powerful 50% of your engines burning even deeply throttled like the RS-25 is capable of, it'd probably be so much harder to land. It's not meant for landing. The SLS won't ever recover the first stage. It would require a full redesign, and at this point, we should absolutely not even be considering that, because vehicles like the New Glenn, BFR, Falcon Heavy will be able to easily fill that gap and be recoverable and reusable. So there you go. How many times do I think Falcon Heavy will launch in 2018? Hopefully we see it more than once. I'm hoping we see it at least 2 or 3 times. They have a manifest of it. So hopefully if all things go well, the first one, I figure we'll see 2 or 3. But I have no idea what to expect, because at this point, I just want the one. Do I think Blue Origin poses a threat to SpaceX? Absolutely. It's a good competition, though. It's a Ford and Chevy. It's a insert basketball team, another basketball team. It's a insert soccer team or football team, another football team. That way I cover soccer too. Huh? It's a good, healthy competition, and Blue Origin is incredible. So just because they haven't launched anything doesn't mean that they're like some paper rocket company. Go down and see the launch or their assembly building down there in Kennedy Space Center. It's huge. They're working really hard. They're the only other company really working on methane engines along with SpaceX. They're going to be very exciting as well. So of course they're a threat, but I think it's a good, healthy, the right threat. So yeah. It's high school versus professional. I wouldn't say that at all. Let's see. Guys, I think that's going to be it for me. It's late. I did a live stream earlier today, so my throat already kind of hurts from talking too much. I think that's going to be it. One quick reminder, if you want to, I have a web store where we can buy hats and mugs and shirts and prints like this picture of CRS-3, photographs from launches. You can find my whole Instagram series on there as well, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Make sure you're subscribed so that you can know when I go on for live streams and when I produce new videos as well. I want to thank all of the people that tipped tonight, guys. That is insanely generous. Thank you so sincerely. It's really not necessary, but it is insanely and legitimately and genuinely appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And again, the biggest shout out still to the people that I talk to every day and my Patreon members, and even those that I don't get to talk to, even my $1 a month Patreon supporters. Thank you guys. It all makes a difference. Remember, we will be giving these guys away here. I'm very excited that we're up to 200 now. That's really incredible. So stand by, guys, for a lot of exciting stuff. I promise too, as soon as I can tell you guys about what's going to happen in 2018 at Camp Everyday Astronaut. It's very exciting, and I'm excited to share it with all of you. So thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for showing your friends my videos. Thank you for coming here and asking very good questions during the live stream. I hope we're doing okay here. So, and last question of the night, will I stream the Falcon Heavy launch? Yes, either in person, which I plan to do. I'll stream it, or I'll be doing this. Hopefully not this. Hopefully I'll be there and able to stream it for you guys. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Again, it's been an incredible night. Congratulations to all those at SpaceX for another phenomenally successful mission, hopefully. I can't wait to hear all about it. So, good night, everybody. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. I think we all dreamt about going to space when we were kids. But when the space shuttle program ended in 2011, I discovered a void in my life. That emptiness led to a newfound obsession with space. A few years later, I wound up bidding on a Russian spacesuit as a joke. When the box arrived at my doorstep, my friends asked, "What are you going to do with a spacesuit?" The answer? What can't I do with a spacesuit? That's how Everyday Astronaut was born. Since then, the suit hasn't left my side. It's even gone around the world with me. From remote villages in Myanmar, rockets, and spaceships. To beautiful fields in Norway. I'm fighting a cow to get a picture right now.
Here I am on vacation in the beautiful Norway with my beautiful boyfriend.
I even proposed to my wife in the suit at Machu Picchu in Peru. These days I work with leaders in the space industry to create fun and inspirational content. I've even been invited to different NASA facilities across the country, all for the sake of sharing my excitement with the world.
Hey there, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but NASA is doing some incredible things.
This is church for us space nerds. This is where Gene Kranz was sitting when people first met up. This is with permission. I still don't know how. I love that I'm standing on something that says urine bags. This thing's gonna fly like a cat in heat. Whatever that means. That dog's gonna have a sore throat by the end of the day, I'll tell you that. Especially once he tries to explain to his friends that he just saw an astronaut flying majestically through the sky for an hour. This thing has officially become the bane of my existence. Everyday Astronaut's mission is to bring space down to Earth for everyday people, to communicate science through humor and imagination, but most importantly, to spark your curiosity, to want to find your place in the cosmos. Join my adventures as I seek to find out why exploring space is important, inspiring, and quite frankly, really, really neat. Show your support by visiting patreon.com/everydayastronaut.